Right now, I have Peter Vesterbacka right here in the studio with me. And Peter has been a major player in the Finnish startup ecosystem for a long time, former Mighty Eagle of Rovio and been with Slush from the very get-go and stuff like that. Other ambitious projects going on right now. So thank you for taking the time, Peter.
Hey, absolutely, anytime, and it's great to be here, and it's even great to be like here face to face and meeting with all of you like online. So it's cool.
All right. We have been in contact before regarding, for example, Ambitious Africa, which is a new project, and then you have all sorts of different projects going on right now. So sort of a quick recap, what have you been doing for the past few years, and what have you been focusing on?
Yeah, so I think that for me, I always say like, I've been an entrepreneur like all my life, and for me, being an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs are people who do stuff. So I think that I always kind of like enjoyed doing things. So that's what I've been up to for forever. And you mentioned Slush. I mean, we started Slush in 2008. And I think that what's actually important with Slush, if you look at that, I mean, it's a fantastic event, and that's kind of like what you see, like on the surface, but it's really all about the community. And also, I mean, we started Slush not only to make a fantastic event, but actually the real reason was to change the attitude and the mindset around entrepreneurship and startups. Because many of us don't remember, but in 2007, I gave a talk at Aalto University to 600 students about entrepreneurship, and then just asked them that, okay, how many of you guys are going to start a company or join a startup once you graduate, or even before, which is also fine. But then, only 3 hands went up. So 3 out of 600 were even like interested in joining a startup. And I think that that's sad, and and that meant that everybody just wanted to kind of like maintain the status quo. So that's why we had to start Slush. So we started Slush to change the mindset, change the attitude. And okay, if you look at Finland and we look at Nordics right now, this is the place to be. And here is where all the startup activities, and it's like amazing. And if you look at like Estonia, 1.3 million people, 4 unicorns. So we're very proud of our friends in the south that they've done an amazing job. And I think that this is like all over the place, and it's all around us. So then what I've been doing, in parallel with that, then looking at, okay, how do we take that to the next level? And also if you look at like the core of the brand of Slush, it's in November, cold, dark, slush on the ground. It's not the Silicon Valley, it's better. And it's better because it's different. And I think that this is what I'm working on now, is the better part. How do we make that real? How do we make this the most amazing place for you to live and start your company, run your company, do your business? And I think that this is something that I've been working on now. So Ambitious Africa is about creating this super connectivity between like the Nordic ecosystem and Africa, bringing young people here in Finland, in Nordics. And when I talk about Nordics, I'm talking about the new Nordics. I always include our friends in Estonia and the Baltics. So that's important. But yeah, our part of the world with Africa. And I think that there's a lot that we can learn by working together. I think this is something that's super important. And then I'm also working on like some physical connectivity. So connecting Helsinki and Tallinn with a tunnel so that we can reduce the travel time to 20 minutes from the current 2 hours by ferry. And that's actually to create a higher concentration of talent and actually making the 2 cities one metropolitan area. And of course, when you have talent density, like we see in games, as one example, yes, Angry Birds happen here, but then Supercell, then Small Giant Games, Seriously, you name it. So we have an amazing stream of success because we have the highest density of game developers and game studios. And this is, I think, very important that it's not that we have the most, absolute numbers, but we have the highest density. So, when went to actually Espresso House to pick up my coffee, but you go to like Starbucks in, say, LA, and then you stop the person, random person there, and you ask, him or her that, your movie, could you tell me more about it? And then, he or she will start saying that, it's like this, and he will get into his script or her script and then talk about like who's gonna be like taking the lead and the casting and like everything. And now when I, stop somebody at the coffee house there, and I asked them that, okay, so tell me about your game. And then they will, start saying that, okay, it's like a, match 3 game, and it has role-playing elements, and, and these kind of like designs, and the user acquisition strategy, it's going to be like this. So talent density is what I'm working on. And then, that's involves many different things. And from my perspective, it's kind of like all aligned towards that like goal. But of course, if you look at it from outside, that, Peter seems to be all over the map, and he's building a tunnel, and he's doing something in Africa. And what about this like slush thing? And okay, the 150,000 students to Finland and like all of that. But actually, or at least I would say that myself, that I know what I'm doing, but it might look a bit random from the outside.
They're all connected,
totally,
essentially.
Yeah, yes. Totally,
yeah. That kind of brings me to my what I've been wondering myself. For example, what is your, you kind of touched on that, but what is your ultimate vision for the future?
I think that for me, what I'm working on, and like I think most entrepreneurs would say that I'm working on like changing the world, and that's kind of like what I'm trying to do. And of course, hopefully when people say that they want to change the world, hopefully it's for the better. So that's kind of like what I believe in, and I really believe that entrepreneurs, startups, like all of us, we're all part of the solution. And now when we talk about, like sustainable development, and we talk about this, we talk about that, the only way to create, like a good future is actually to make it good. And that's up to us. And I always say that nice thing about the future is that it's not defined and it's not predefined, or predetermined, so we can impact it, and we can make the kind of future that we want. And that's what we kind of like, as entrepreneurs, we all believe that we can do that. And I think that for me, then okay, what does that good future mean? I think that one starting point to look at this is, okay, we're now here in Helsinki, in Finland. So if you look at then Finland, you look at the Nordic countries, you can start talking about like Nordic values and the Nordic societies. I think that basically it's about giving everybody fantastic opportunity. So not just a few, but like everybody. So I think that that's also then start to sound like, the American dream that some people might have heard about, but, we all know that that's not like happening too much, and especially not over in the US. But I think that we have here, taken that American dream, and we have made it kind of like the Finnish or Nordic reality. So it's not a coincidence that the Nordic countries are always top of the list when you look at happiness. So Finland has been number 1 3 years running in the UN, like, happiest nations on the planet kind of like ranking, but all the Nordic countries are like up there. And it's not a coincidence. That is actually because we made it so. And I think that this is, what I'm looking at, that, okay, how can we then make more of that happen, all over Africa, the Americas, Asia, and all of that. So I'm looking at making more of that happen everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely see that there's this community of doing what is in part of that. You talk a lot about the responsibility of the young people, and,
yes,
and also that we should empower young people more.
Yes.
Why do you see it that way? Why does the change come from the young people?
But I think that's like because obviously young people are the future, no matter how we do this. I mean, of course, young people will grow up to be older people, and then like you're in charge, and hopefully like before getting too old. But I think that it's really important that we not only talk about like we will listen to young people. I mean, yeah, fine, listening is like a good start, but we need to put the young people in charge. And I think that it's the job of us, like slightly older people, is to make sure that then the old people and the government stay out of the way while the young people change the world. And this is what we've been doing now with Ambitious Africa, and we're repeating this message like many times a day. And that's really what we have done there. We have built these, what we call the Ambitious Africa, like national teams. So it's always like 2 local young people and 2 young people from Nordic countries working together, and then basically figuring out, okay, what do we need to do here in Ghana? What do we need to do here in Zimbabwe? We now built 25 of these national teams, and then they are running around their like respective like nation, and then looking at, okay, what do we need to do here? What do we need to fix? Who do we need to get on board to kind of like make this happen? You know, within the country, or like within Africa, or within Europe, within the planet, and that's something I think that is really, really important, that we empower the young people, and we really kind of like remove the obstacles, and then kind of like start making stuff happen. And of course, it's not just okay that just the young people. We need to all work together, but just to kind of like deliver the message that, hey, actually, let's not just like listen. Let's actually let the young people make that stuff happen.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of Ambitious Africa, you said it started off as this movement of getting this Nordic reality of opportunity, and repeating it in Africa.
Yes,
kind of the same way that Slush did here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was the purpose of building Ambitious Africa. But what is? Can you tell a little bit more about what is Ambitious Africa, and what are they doing?
Yeah,
essentially.
So I would say, like, what are they not doing is maybe kind of like a better question, but because it's kind of like doing a lot of different things. But one way of looking at like Ambitious Africa, so we've talked a lot about this kind of like triple E model for transformation. So looking at like education, entrepreneurship, entertainment. So activities in all those areas, and then concrete examples. So for example, now we identified a long time ago that there is a big need to improve the educational system. And actually, it's not just in Africa, I mean, it's globally, but we happen to be very fortunate here in Finland that we have one of the best educational systems, if not like the very best educational system anywhere. And that is, of course, something that I would say that it's almost our responsibility and our duty to kind of like share our experiences and what we've been building here for the last like 50 years. Or 100 if you look at like the history of like Finnish independence. But so then looking at that there's a need to train 2.4 million early years teachers all across Africa. So we have like a need for 50,000 in Cameroon, 50,000 in Mozambique, 20,000 in Rwanda, and so on and so on. And when you add up all the numbers, it's 2.4 million. Which, okay, that's like, oh, that's a lot. How can we achieve this? So then we started looking at how do we achieve it. So we teamed up with FABE, this Federation of African Women Educationalists. Then we have Fun Academy here in Finland that's been specializing in like this teacher education and fun learning and like all of that. And then we brought together a bunch of people, our universities here in Finland, some universities across Africa. And then we start looking at like, okay, let's build a model that will enable us to train 2.4 million teachers in 5 years. And now we're executing on that, and we're training teachers in 9 countries. So we started with Malawi, which is not the easiest place, but why do easy when you can do difficult? And then we started doing that. Then in the area of like education, then we have been working here in Finland with the Tech Finland, Technology Industries of Finland. They did this fantastic program called This Works, and it's an innovation program for first grade students. And it's something that was done by teachers, for teachers, supported by Tech Finland. And then decided to give that away for free, not only here in Finland for all of our first grade students, but the whole planet. And now we're working on deploying that to all first grade students in Kenya. Then we look at, rest of the African continent, and again the local teams in Ambitious Africa working together with partners like in this case Tech Finland and some teachers and Fun Academy for the teacher training and like all of that. And this is just like 2 projects of I think about 30 or so that we have launched. We have a project that we're doing with a company called River Recycle to clean up the rivers. So there's like a lot of plastic. So that's one thing that we're deploying. We're looking at these. One thing that came up actually in Ghana when we did this launch event, this Ambitious Africa National Day for Ghana. the country manager of Oracle was there, and he said that there's a big challenge in Ghana, and actually recent few days, in last couple of days, we have also learned that we have a huge challenge in that area in Finland, and the area is cybersecurity. So that came up in Ghana, that we need many more people for the cybersecurity field. So then we started working with the local team in Ghana that, okay, what can we do? Okay, we happen to have a lot of expertise here in Finland around cybersecurity. We have many companies, we have many programs at our universities. So now we're working on creating kind of like a cybersecurity double degree between a Finnish university and a university in Ghana. So then you can study in Ghana, you can study in Finland, and then you'll end up with a degree in cybersecurity, and you can end up working in Ghana, for say Oracle or the government or somebody, or you might end up working here in Finland for F-Secure or Nixu or one of SSH. We have many security companies, cybersecurity companies here. So that's kind of like what Ambitious Africa is doing and making happen. But you could also say that Ambitious Africa is actually not doing anything, but actually Ambitious Africa is making sure that it happens. So it's kind of like the initiator and facilitator, and I love to talk about like this super connectivity, because it's really important that you can then find people that, we have a challenge, cybersecurity, who do we need to talk to? Okay, we should talk to this university, we should talk to this company, this guy, and then before you know it, you're like in the business of creating more like cybersecurity talent.
So it's not repeating Slush in Africa. It's a super connectivity networking.
Yeah, and I think that it's always, you always have to take like local conditions into account. But it's in many ways it's repeating Slush, because that's also kind of like what Slush did. It was creating this gravity. Good startups attract good investors, and that is also like a little bit here, that creating this activity, and then it attracts people and talent. So it's very much the same thing, that you have like a strong brand, you have a strong story around, like you can easily explain to people like what you are doing, and then of course it attracts people that then want to make a difference, want to get stuff done, want to be involved, and I think that there are many similarities, but of course, I mean, the world changes, and you can't always like the same model, but hopefully you can learn from your like experience and then like make stuff happen.
Did you have an example from that was this triple-E model, like education, entertainment, and education?
Education, entrepreneurship, and entertainment.
Did you have an example from the entrepreneurship side? For example, how has Ambitious Africa facilitated this kind of projects in the
so basically where we started was when Victor and Vincent, they're from Hanken and then when they were doing that, they actually went to Rwanda and they started 2 student-run incubators in this like agriculture field. And now we have been looking at, okay, how do we replicate that and build those kind of incubators in other countries? So the next one will be Uganda. Then we're doing a lot now in Lusaka. So we're doing like Zambia, same kind of approach. And the idea is that then to replicate that approach and that kind of experience across all of Africa. And then we have also worked now with these, there's been these like startup weeks and kind of like various events that are already happening like all over Africa. So it's not like there's nothing going on. I mean, there's so much going on in Africa. So then we have basically just been plugging into the existing activities, connecting them with what Ambitious Africa is doing, what the different ESEs in Finland are doing. And I think that really kind of like say amplifying some of the activities in Africa. Like last week we had Arctic 15 and Ambitious Africa in collaboration with this event, and we had tens of startups from Africa pitching, and then we had on the jury people from not only Africa but investors and kind of like experts from Finland, from Nordic countries, from kind of like rest of the world. So bringing in the kind of support and kind of like mentoring that you need any startup. I mean, you don't have to be like African startup. I mean, the same if you're a Finnish startup, there's a lot of mentoring, a lot of kind of like help that you can get, and we're now like connecting that and making sure that happens.
One kind of issue that I ran into here in Finland was that, well, it's no longer an issue because of this transformation that has happened in entrepreneurship, but essentially the roles of the university in Finland has been large in emerging this entrepreneurial mindset from the youth. Has this occurred in some countries in Africa that there's the institution is in the way of establishing, for example, this kind of entrepreneurship societies? Or
absolutely.
And how would you kind of deal with that?
Yeah, I think that, and I would say that it's also it's a problem everywhere, and you don't have to go, as far as Africa. I mean, you can go to many places in Europe, in the Americas. It's really very much like about the institution in question. But I think that in many cases you still have challenges that it's not so easy for kind of like the business side of the society to work with the universities, because again, it's a little bit like in the music industry, that if you are an artist, that's all good, but then if you are an artist and you start to actually make a living and you start to like make a bit of money with your music, then there's always this discussion that, oh, he or she has sold out and he's not really an artist anymore because he's actually making money. So the universities have a little bit in some places this kind of problem, that even though they are their job is to educate like all of us and the societies and move that forward, and of course do research and all of this stuff, but in some places you have this bit of a attitude that oh, but we are like serious academic people and we can't do business. And I think that that is something that you come across also in Africa, and I think that is one thing. Then also sometimes there's a concern that, oh, but if all of the young people get excited about like entrepreneurship startups, they will not graduate. And of course, I mean, that can be a problem, but then we always have to kind of like support what young people actually want to do. And I think that this is also that then we should look at how we can make it more flexible, so that you can study and work on your startup at the same time. And I think this is one area where many Finnish universities do a fantastic job, but we can always do better. So I think that there's it's not it's kind of like a never-ending like project, never-ending story. So it just we need to keep at it, and I think that there's a lot that we can share our experiences that we've had here. And I always use the example also of the games business. We had this big games like career day today, actually, because we need like a lot of talent here for our games industry. I think we have like 350 jobs that we need to fill in Helsinki alone over the next 12 months. So we had this like event online. But then when we talk to many of our African friends, that then they have the same problem as we had here in Finland some years ago, that if you told people that, oh yeah, I'm working like on games, then it's like, yeah, okay, but like when are you going to get a real job? And I think, okay, now we have of course Ilkka from founder and CEO of Supercell will share same, because I remember when I met with Ilkka and like his team when they were doing this company called Sumea in like 2000 I think it was, and that was like early days of games, early days of mobile games. And then if you said that, oh, we're making mobile games, it's like, yeah, but like when do you get a real job? Of course, now if you look at the success of for example Supercell, that like 10 billion exit, not too bad. So like
I don't really need a job. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that, but yeah, so in Africa and like what we have come across, that when they then say that, oh, we are doing this games company, then many of the parents will say that, like that's not like a real job, like you're just having fun. And I think that there's a lot of that kind of thing. We've seen that all over the world, that hey, if somebody tells you that, hey, I'm like an entrepreneur and I'm doing this company, then hey, why don't you go and work for that like corporation and get like a real job? And in Finland we are getting there, and it's now okay to do startups, and it's not like some kind of like bad thing, hopefully. But I think that and most parents will be very happy if their kids start companies, so that's like good. But this is not the case in many places, and I think that we have the same challenge ahead of us in this. That it's not always that it's okay to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So eventually it will be a bottom-up transformation, hopefully.
Yeah.
I had a question because I wanted to kind of like pick your brain a little on what do you consider a project that is too big to go into? For example, what is is there such thing as too ambitious? And
no, I don't think that there are any. I mean, of course, I'm sure if we want to come up with projects that are, I don't know, too ambitious or something, of course we can. And I mean, like you can define like impossible things. But I think that in the end, there are very few things like out there that actually are impossible. So I think that this is something that I always say that most of the things out there are very much possible to do. And if you look at take Slush that we touched on, that very few people believed me when I said that this is going to become the biggest and best startup event on the planet. Because I mean, at the first Slush we had like 300 people, and making that leap in your imagination that hey, this is going to become like totally different and it's going to be the biggest on the planet. It's sometimes difficult for people to see that. But I think that then same with Angry Birds that first said in 2010 that okay, we're going to go for 100 million downloads, and nobody had done that before. And then I was told that, hey, Peter, it's impossible, that, like you're crazy. Nobody has gotten to 100 million downloads, not even Tetris. And at that time, Tetris had been around for 20 years and they hadn't gotten to like 100 million copies like distributed. But then, of course, if you now look at like Angry Birds as an example, it's now at like 4 billion or plus downloads. So the 100 million didn't turn out to be like that much of a challenge. I mean, of course, it's difficult, but not impossible. So I think that you need to be very ambitious, I think, always, and not be afraid of setting ambitious goals. And I think this is something that I learned during my like entrepreneurial journey, that there are very few things that can't be done, and I think that now on this topic of Africa, if you look at Bolt, so Bolt is the fourth unicorn to come out of Estonia. I think they're now valued at like 2.9 billion or something like that, and they got started in 2014, so recently. But if you look at them, so okay, fantastic success story. They now have 500,000 drivers in Europe. But they also have 500,000 drivers in Africa. So they are live in 6 African countries. And I think that a good example that if somebody then would have told, Markus and the founder and Martin Willig, say in 2014 that, yeah, we think that you're going to have 1 million drivers and half of them in Africa, in like 5 years, then probably, I don't know, but I would guess that even they would have told that person in question that, hey, you're crazy, that, okay, maybe 500,000 in Europe, but like 500,000 in Africa, come on. I mean, like, and it's there and it's reality. And I think that that is also what will happen and what actually then makes these things possible is that if you look at, take, for example, the success story of Supercell. 10 billion exit, 10 billion valuation. But many times, like then what Ilkka and the guys were saying that, hey, if those guys at Rovio can do that, then we can as well. And then they did, and they made something even bigger. And I think that before, Playtech, Skype, and these guys, then, people in Estonia would probably have said that, yeah, but we're only like 1.3 million people. We can't create these unicorns. But I mean, they did with Playtech and Skype. Okay, now TransferWise, which is like I think the most valuable fintech startup in all of Europe at least. So I think that these kind of success stories and role models typically tend to generate more of the same. And I think that this is to answer your question about like impossible, that it might feel impossible, but then you see other people doing it, and then you realize, hey, it wasn't impossible, and if those guys can do it, I can do it as well. And this is very important. So always role models, for entrepreneurs, super, super important. So once we get this going, like we have seen here in Finland, that now, of course, I'll build the biggest and best company because, like, why not? Other people are doing it. And the same thing will happen in Africa that, hey, now we did this, and then we, had a nice exit to, the US, for example. And you're starting to see these kind of like exits that are in the hundreds of millions that has been kind of like totally unheard of in Africa until now. And now it's starting to happen. And once, they do few hundred million, billion, billions, and then, there you go. You will see like a lot of success stories. So that's why I think that we can transform Africa in like 5 years.
We had a couple of questions from the audience. Don't mind me asking those. There was this question that has it ever been about money or even for one moment, or did you just went in with the mission when you decided to do it?
I think that it's only about the money when you're out of it, and you actually absolutely have to, like get that to, like feed yourself and your family. So I think that is when you think about it. But I think that for me, that's never been kind of like the motivation. So I think for me, it's more about like doing things that have a meaning and then have a big impact. So I enjoy working on kind of like impossible things and big challenges. So that is kind of like one thing. And then I always believe that if you do the right thing, and if you kind of like keep doing things, then there will be like the financial reward as well. But I think that I have a kind of like a hard time working with people where it's always that, okay, what's in it for me, and like how much money will I make here? And it's like that's like if that's like the only motivation, then first of all, you will not get very kind of like loyal employees or like partners, because then there will always be somebody that will offer like €1 or 2 more. And if you're just like following the money, I don't think that you can build very like sustainable things working with that kind of like attitude. So so yes, of course, money is always important, but if it's like the only thing that you worry about, then I don't think that there's kind of like a very high likelihood of like success. So there has to be more, and I think always say that you should do what you love to do. I think that is really important, because then when you do things that you love, then the results will also be better. So that's kind of like there's a big correlation there.
We have around 5 minutes left or so. So there was this question which was kind of, as your speech was a segue to that question, was that what do you find fulfillment in life? Is it the meaning that you do in your work or something else?
Yeah, I think that definitely like in the doing. So I think that in doing, but then it's not just kind of like the doing itself. I think that it's also like great to see like results, and then the results can be kind of like many different things. So actually, while we're talking about like getting the coffee, before this, that one thing that was really cool, like for me to see, and this was actually Slush in Shanghai a couple of years ago, and we have had actually so Slush is always built by volunteers, and meaning that people are there because they want to be there, not and even love to be there, not because somebody like told them to be there or whatever. And then it was like super cool to see that we had actually volunteers from this Lauttasaaren Lukio, so this high school here in Finland. So high school students from Finland that were volunteering at Slush in Shanghai, and of course now there's like, so like what's the big deal? Like, okay, you have some high school students and they volunteer at this startup event in Shanghai in China. But then if I think about kind of like my own time in high school, and that's like a while ago, I don't think I would have ever come up with the idea that, yeah, of course, I mean, what am I going to do now during my high school? Yeah, I'm going to go to Shanghai and I'm going to volunteer at this like startup event. I mean, impossible to even come up with the idea. Of course, I mean, China was different then, and okay, we didn't have slush and we didn't have like a lot of these things. But the point here is that now we do, and now it's maybe not normal for high school students in Finland to go and volunteer at a startup event, in Shanghai or in Tokyo or whatever, but it's possible. So it's not, if somebody will tell you, a high school student now in Lappeenranta that, hey, I'm going to go and volunteer at slush in Shanghai. I say, hey, cool and great. And you're not going to tell him or her that, nah, it's impossible. You can't do that. But if you go back 10 years, probably that person, that high school student would have heard that, it's impossible. Okay. Nobody has done that before. Like, what are you talking about? Some startup event, like in Asia, and you're going to go there and volunteer? Yeah, like really, it's impossible. So I think that this is something that these kind of results I'm super happy to see. So this is, not, it's a little bit like people ask, okay, so, you're saying that you're going to transform Africa in 5 years. What will it look like? And then I always say that I don't know. I don't know what it will look like, but I know that it will be amazing. So it's just kind of like the thing is that you have to do these things, and then you don't know exactly what the result will look like, but you know that it's going to be like really amazing results and these kind of things that, okay, we'll have high school students go and volunteer at an event in Africa, for example. So, I mean, that's those kind of things are like super cool to see.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think we are running out of time. I mean, that time just flies.
Yeah.
But really insightful stuff. And I thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you. It's always great to be part of these kind of events. And I think that, Lutes is doing a fantastic job in Lappeenranta and also here in Helsinki, clearly. So that's good.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. I think we're going to go on a little break right now. And after that, Jethro Roosted will come in for an interview. So strap in for that and see you in a bit.